All right, welcome to the Design Build Show. I'm here with Mr. Ray Cassano. Thank you very much, Ray, for being my guest.
You're welcome, anytime.
We are here in Ray's hood in Clearwater, Florida. Look at that sunset. Oh my gosh.
Biblical.
Beautiful. We're at the Island Way Grill in Clearwater, Florida, and Ray is a developer, broker, real estate broker, emeritus.
Realtor emeritus.
Realtor emeritus. And
emeritus.
Emeritus. Thank
there
you.
we
Thank
go.
you. Thank you.
It's like a professor emeritus in Boston.
Oh, okay, cool. I understand. And so this is the Design Build Show. The purpose of this show is to raise people's awareness about design build, wherein the architect and builder are together. And for me, the ultimate design builder is the developer. Right?
Yeah,
if you think about,
absolutely.
like, for me, design build is all about accountability, ownership, taking ownership for a project. And as a developer, I mean, that there is nobody else, right? Like, you know,
that's right.
That's your baby, right? So, and you, even if you're not, you know, you might be hiring all those professions. You might hire a separate architect and builder separately, right? But ultimately, you're responsible.
That's right.
And that's part of the beauty, I think, of design build is like a client's never gonna be left in between.
That's right.
Those two professionals. What are your thoughts?
Well, you know, you make a change in the morning, you're right there in the afternoon working on it. If you have an architect, you have to make a change, send it over to him. He's got to check it out, bring it back, and it just makes a lot of delays.
Yeah.
This speeds everything up, it flows right. It's great for the customer because he can say, you know, I want to make a little change there, and you could do it right away.
Yeah.
Doesn't slow the project down.
Yeah, it's much more efficient.
Absolutely. I'm a very much pro design build.
Cool.
Very much.
Have you run into, on projects you've done or been a part of, where it is separated, where you as the developer, you know, ultimately are responsible? Like it should be one of these professionals, but you're kind of like,
yeah,
there's a dispute, or there's, hey, those drawings, this is a change order because of this. Like, do you have any examples of that or things that come to mind?
We developed a 15-story tower here in Clearwater, and every time we wanted to make a change or anything, the architect from the people that were doing the architectural, they got busy and they couldn't get to our stuff right away, and maybe they were working on a 60-story tower, or maybe it was a hospital or something important.
Yeah.
And sometimes it just took a while to get it back, and it kind of, when you're dealing with subcontractors or you're dealing with your own crew, if one area slows down, it slows down the whole project.
Yeah.
So if you've got your design build right there, you just go, architect puts his work clothes on, goes in there with you, and just speeds everything up.
Yeah.
That's my experience.
Cool.
I would, if I definitely had a big project and I had a architect, I would like to have him on board.
Yeah.
You know.
Like on payroll.
That's right.
Yeah.
Just doing our project
for
nothing
that reason,
else.
For lack of lost time.
Yeah, it speeds things up. It makes it better, less mistakes.
Yeah.
If there's any subs involved, they don't have a problem because they can flow right through it with the right architect sitting there.
Yeah. And you know, when you think about what's needed to execute a project, not only design a project, that's the thing about design build for me is it's not just about, like, the architect's role today has really become design and like the drawings and like what's it gonna look like and this sort of thing, but that's not all it takes to have a project set up, not even say executed, but set up to be executed. Like, you need to be thinking with the execution. You need to be thinking with, what are the resources that are going to be executing this project? What's the cost going to be? It's a big one. Architects cannot be so, the modern architect is not so much on the pulse of that because they're not building, right?
And they're detached from the job.
Yeah.
So, you know, they don't get as much, they're not in the job. They're not familiar with it day to day, which would make them change their mind about a lot of the things they do.
Right. That feedback, right?
Exactly.
You have that loop, that immediate feedback. That's
right.
Another thing I love about
True.
design build.
I mean, the electrician says, wait a minute, can we just move it over there? And the architect goes, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Boom. if you're dealing with a detached architect, that might be 3 days before you get that figured out.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly. You know, not before we get too far into this, because I don't know that my dad will make it through the whole thing. But what street did you grow up on?
I grew up on St. Nicholas and 193rd in Washington Heights.
In New York City.
In New York
and
City.
And my dad grew up on the same exact street, like the same
Yeah,
block.
193rd and St. Nicholas.
So
Yeah.
that's pretty
Probably
cool.
within 50 feet of each other or 100, you know. That's amazing, as big
it
as
is.
New York is.
Right. So
Yeah.
there you go, Dad.
Hi, Dad.
So back to design build, I mean, as a developer, like, do you rely on the architect? You rely on the architect for just the design, right? Like, you're not looking to tell them what it's going to cost, right? Or how long it's going to take. You're looking for like the builder's input, or you have that own awareness yourself.
Well, with design build, you're going to save more money. You can sit there and argue the point for economics faster than a guy that's detached. He probably isn't as involved in the economics as you are. You're trying to save money for yourself and your client,
Yeah, yeah,
and he's just trying to be an architect.
Yeah.
If he's in the family of people right there every day, I think they tend to get far more economical.
yeah,
So it's more efficient.
yeah, yeah,
And that I agree with wholeheartedly.
yeah. But I mean, just like if we were to break down, for me, like the components of what you need as a, just looking at it from the developer's point of view, because you're responsible for the cost. You're responsible for the schedule. You're responsible for that, you know, what the actual physical object is going to be there. Today's, you know, the way things are set up today, the builder or like a construction manager, somebody else is bringing part of that to the, you know, the group, the umbrella. Like if you're
Right.
the developer, you're like, yeah, I want an architect on my staff. But
Right.
like I hear you say that, and I'm thinking, yeah, he's like solely thinking of the architect as a designer, right?
Right.
Like as somebody who outputs the drawings. Okay, over here now somebody's telling you what it's cost, what's the impact of the schedule. Like it's not in the architect's purview anymore. That full
Right.
like ownership of it. Design build, you know, that's why I love design build, because it's like it should all be there, man. It's like you can't really design it without that full picture in mind, right?
And him working alongside with you gets an accurate knowledge of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
He's right there.
Yeah,
You put him on payroll.
he can start to think with it, right?
That's right. You
Yeah.
give him a bonus if he gets it done quicker or within budget.
Yeah.
So he's thinking that way all the time as
Yeah.
you're building the project. You wouldn't get that with a detached architect.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
he wouldn't understand.
Right.
Sure, they stop by, but a guy there all the time, it's just worth a lot more.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Can you think of like as a realtor, emeritus?
I'm a realtor emeritus, yes.
A realtor emeritus.
Just like a professor emeritus
Yeah,
at
yeah.
Harvard.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't say
I've been
it.
there a while. I've not been in
I would
trouble.
screw up that name too. So I'm sure I would. But
Yeah, it's the highest honor you can get in real estate.
awesome.
You have to be there a long time. You can't be in trouble. You got to be on the board, help
Yeah.
other realtors out. It's quite an honor.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to. I bring up real estate as kind of like you know, it's obviously related, right? Because
Yeah.
it's still talking
Sure.
about buildings. But I like to look at like other industries and compare it to, like, we're at a restaurant right here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the chef, like comparing other industries to construction. I can't really think of a industry that has been separated like construction has, wherein like you have this component. It'd be like the chef who only wrote recipes and never cooked,
From a distance.
right?
Yeah.
Or like a musician who only wrote but never played any
Yeah,
instruments.
exactly.
But all he was trained to do was like write instruments, but he never or write notes, but he never actually played the music. Guy
Exactly.
who never cooked before but only wrote recipes. It's like
That's right.
it in real estate. I don't know if that is like this might be like nothing here, but like, is there a comparable? Like, is there a point where like is it broken down like that ever? Like where you have somebody who just,
Well, it'd be similar to a brand new agent going out on a very large project by themselves.
yeah,
They're just not going to be as efficient. And my new rookie agents, I go with them. And most of the time it's, thank God I did.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You can't say that. You can't do that. No, you know.
Right.
One of those things.
Yeah.
And same thing with the architect. You know, if he's there, he's not going to make some kind of electrical panel in a place where it's just really hard to do. If he's detached, he draws the electrical panel, and then the guy, electrician at the job goes, how do I do that?
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
And then if he's there on board with you, design build, you go, hey, can't you move it like a little bit over there? And the guy goes, no problem.
Right.
And then it's done, and nothing stops,
So, like,
nothing slows down.
A big intention of mine is to change the way an architect is trained, because the architect is best suited to really control the building process. Like that is their initial role. The derivation of the word architect is master builder. For the great majority of history, you went to that guy, and that guy, the master builder, right? So first he was an apprentice. He was building, like he was building. Then he was a journeyman. Then he was a master. Then he could tell people, hey, here's how you, let me draw this for you. This is how you do it.
But he was on the job.
Yeah.
And the apprentices would come up and say, what do you think of this? And that's fine, go ahead and do it.
Right.
But the Templars always had their masters with them.
Yeah.
Always, when they build those great cathedrals.
Yeah. So when I hear you talk about like have the architect there, have them like be seeing this all, it's kind of what I want to reestablish for the architect. He just needs to be building. Like he just needs to be around that space so he can like see what's going on and have that. Even for myself, like I went to school for architecture when I graduated. I was like, what the? I'm like, okay, so I'm drawing this and somebody's gonna build it. I'm like, no, like
I've never built one. I don't know what I'm doing.
I have no idea. So I wanted to like fill that void and get that field experience. It's just like the point I'm trying to make here is like, the architect's role can and should be more than what it is, and design build is a way to achieve that and really restore the roots, like the real role of this position, where they are like the master builder. It's very similar to a developer where you have the ultimate responsibility, like the buck stops here type of mentality. And because like how much the reason I think they're best suited for it is because that design, like that's powerful, right?
Yeah.
Like on your how important is that aspect, just like that draw, that aesthetic aspect of your project? How important is that to your developments?
Well, you have an architect there. He's a stable position, and everybody feels more comfortable.
Yeah.
Because they know if they get into a little bit of a problem, there's someone they can go talk to.
Yeah.
So it's a happier, well-oiled machine, and you get a better building out of the deal.
Yeah.
Because, guys wondering, should I do it this way or can I do it better? Well, let me go ask the architect. He's right over here.
Yeah.
And I think that's invaluable myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, today they still have that is the license. It's a legal term. Mm-hmm. You can't call yourself an architect unless you're licensed, right? It's a legal term.
Have to have the certificate.
Yeah, it does mean something today.
Yep.
It's just marginalized to a point where there's a lot more that can be there. And design build, that's why I love design builds, because we're just taking full ownership for a project. There's a firm called Gluck Plus in New York City. This guy is like, if you guys Google Gluck Plus, I've talked about him on the show before. This guy has videos on his website. He's going to be on this show sooner than later, hopefully. But this guy, he's an architect, and but like he is taking it to another stratosphere. And the way he has been able to do that is by building. Yeah. Like they have that understanding, they have that knowledge. They dig into the trades. That's one of the and maybe you can speak to this a little bit, like the trades on a project. There's so many, right? There's probably 30 on a trade, and they each. Yeah.
I think it helps both sides too. I think the tradesman get a benefit, and the architect gets a benefit.
Yeah.
And the buyer and seller win.
Yeah, yeah. But that interaction, right?
Sure.
Like you have 30. Like today's, maybe I think part of the reason it has easier to segregate is because technology. There's so many more things to learn. There's so many specialties, and there's so much to know. So, but having trade contractors, if you are going to build it, and you are getting those trades involved earlier, and you're collaborating earlier, you know, you can use them as a tool to make a better project. But if you're separated from the construction and you don't have those contacts with those trades, it's like, it's harder, right?
He's got to get in the car, he's got to drive to the site, he's got to look these guys up.
Yeah.
They're not familiar with them, so maybe their manners aren't as well.
Yeah, that's a huge point,
you
right?
know, so
it's like this adversarial.
Exactly. What do you want us to do now?
Yeah.
But if he's there every day, he's like part of the family. They're getting along. They're having coffee, maybe a beer after work together.
Yeah.
And I think it's just great for the project.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Awesome. So,
I think it's the way of the future.
Oh, it's totally the way. In the next 5 to 10 years, design, build, and it's being brought back here. You're being a part of it, right?
Hey, man, I'm going to do it. We're going to do something.
Yeah. I mean, in the next 5, it just makes too much sense. Like we were having dinner tonight, and your wife, I'd say about 90% of the people I speak to, design, build, it's like they're blank. Immediately they're blank. The layman, right? But then you explain it. Oh yeah, it's like bringing
Makes
it
sense.
back to how it was. They're like, oh, it's just intuitive. It's like, oh my god, that makes so much sense. Like, why would it ever be separate? You know?
I think they separated years ago so they can make more money.
Yeah,
It's more efficient to be together.
Yeah,
You know.
Yeah, those guys, and it's true because I'm writing a book about it. And those guys who did separate it, it's like they saw a way in like the 1850s. There was this huge like blue collar, white collar separation, and these guys positioned themselves like, hey, let's make it so we're the architects, everybody's gonna come to us. They were builders, by the way.
Yeah.
The guys who started the AIA were builders. But they didn't think it through. They were thinking more short term, they didn't think it long term. And like you go through a few loops of that, because wherein the people in their office have never built before. You go, and then those guys are teaching guys, and you go through a few loops of that. It's like the blind leading the blind, and you got like where we are today, and it's in schools, and it's like a legal term, but it's totally the way of the future. And you know, I've started to talk about this. So like space, right? Like Musk is going to Mars, and there's dudes going to the moon.
They're going to do
they're
3D printing of buildings on the moon.
Yeah. Do you want a guy separated from the construction?
No.
Like that response. Oh yeah, here
No.
I figured this out.
No.
Here's how you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Here's how it doesn't make any sense, right?
You ought to come to the moon and see what we're doing. You probably wouldn't say what you just did.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly, right? It's got to be design built.
Yeah.
Like
you have to
no
be
other
there.
way.
You got to experience what's happening.
Yeah.
You know.
Totally.
And the same on Earth here too. You know.
Yeah.
If you're in a different climate, you got to know what it's like. You know,
Yeah.
how the guys feel, what they're up against, the wind, the temperature, everything.
Yeah.
It's good to have your guy right there.
Yeah.
Makes everybody feel more confident, better.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Awesome.
Happy
Ray.
workers make happy buildings.
Yeah. So, Ray, I appreciate you being on the show.
No problem. I love it.
It's been a pleasure.
We watched the sunset as we were talking.
It's a little darker now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing some small projects right now, and it's very nice.
Awesome.
Florida's booming.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And I read a little bit about you, wherein you like to play Monopoly.
Well, that got me going as a kid. I just, got me into real estate.
Yeah. That's cool.
You know, hotels are always better than houses.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you again. It's been a pleasure, and thank you guys for watching.
Yep.
Until the next episode, we'll see you later. Again, this is the Island Way Grill.
Yes. Clearwater, Florida.
Clearwater, Florida.
We're walking distance to Clearwater Beach.
All right. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.